Hello and a very good afternoon to all our viewers who are joining me in this live interaction of Facebook and YouTube pages of News9. And today I will be speaking about the third set of serological survey results that have arrived. And the serological survey was conducted between August and September in Delhi, and according to the results, 33%, nearly 33% of the residents in Delhi have developed COVID-19 antibodies, and this particular figure was released after the preliminary analysis of the third survey of 17,000 samples which was conducted in Delhi. But the final figures are yet to be released officially, and these are just the tentative and the very speculative results that we have right now. So basically, for those who don't know what serological surveys are, well, these surveys are an exercise aimed at detecting the true exposure of a given population to a particular disease. And they involve testing blood samples for antibodies and thus help detect even those people who may have recovered from the disease on their own without even requiring any medical assistance. So in the case of COVID-19, this would include asymptomatic patients who unknowingly contracted and recovered from the disease. So the serological surveys are important since they factor in cases and accounted for in the testing figures. Now, to give you a clear picture of the current results that we're talking about, the survey implies that close to 66 lakh people out of the 2 crore residents in Delhi may have been exposed to the virus and are now carrying antibodies. Now, also we have to note is that this is the highest seroprevalence since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, in order to answer a few questions, we have with us Dr. Sitesh Roy joining us live from Mumbai. Many thanks for joining me in this live interaction, Dr. Sitesh. And my first question to you is, what does the results mean this time? 33% of the residents have been exposed. Does this mean that, they are potentially developing antibodies to fight COVID-19?
So, Deepak, it has been well known around the world that whatever the positivity rate is of the tests that we are picking up, the actual number of people getting exposed to the virus and possibly getting what is called an asymptomatic or very mildly symptomatic case is much, much higher.
Okay.
Somewhere in the volume of 10 times, or some people even say 20 times higher. So this is a very clear indication that a lot more people have been exposed to the virus. A lot more people have developed antibodies to the virus. And though we are still only possibly halfway towards developing what would be called herd immunity, it is still a very high figure, because even in a city like New York, which had very rampant cases in the months of April and May, the seroprevalence there is still around 23%.
Right.
So being at 33% and actually having fewer hospitalizations and deaths, which is what Delhi has seen, is in some ways a good sign. But we have to remember that a seroprevalence survey is just a soundbite of the population. So you're trying to extrapolate data from 17,000 people to 2 crore people. And though it is done in a very systematic way with statistical analysis, it is not perfect, but it is a representative sample. And I think that it is positive and good news. It does not still mean that everyone who has antibodies is immune to the virus. We already know that because people can get a second infection. We also know that sometimes the antibodies being detected are not the neutralizing antibodies which are necessary to ward off the second infection when the virus attacks again. But at the same time, this does tell us that with all the things that happen in India in terms of crowding, our large populations, the way our lifestyles and interactions are, the virus is clearly, silently spreading and affecting people. And we are fortunate that we are not seeing massive rises in hospitalizations or deaths like other countries have when this has happened.
Also, doctor, now this is the third particular sero survey results that have emerged, and the first sero survey reported that on an average across Delhi, the prevalence of IgG antibodies was around 23.48%, and the study was conducted by the National Center for Disease Control also indicates that a large number of infected persons remained asymptomatic. And the second survey that was conducted also clearly indicated that around 28.3% of Delhi's population had been exposed to COVID-19. And now, doctor, see, the first sero survey showed about 23%, the next showed about 28%, and now it has almost come up to 33%. So there has been a 10% increase in the number of people developing antibodies. So is this a good sign, and how far is Delhi from achieving herd immunity?
So herd immunity is something that is achieved when at least 60 to 70% of the population has been exposed to the virus and has developed antibodies to it. This is based on the R0 figure, which suggests that one individual infects somewhere between 2 and 3 other people. Given this number, if we go by the rate at which the seroprevalence survey is showing antibody developing, we are still probably 6 to 8 months or so away from herd immunity being achieved, and that also would be in the best case scenario, because we really, as I said, ideally don't want to achieve herd immunity through natural infection, because the infection won't only happen to the youngsters or the children, it may actually happen to the elderly and those with comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, those who may have chronic kidney disease, other problems that are there, cancers, and they may be more susceptible to go into the hospitalization and also require mechanical ventilation. So while we are not per se in the favor of developing herd immunity, naturally looks like our country with its large population is slowly but steadily inching that way. Again, you have to remember that this is only one city in a very large country. If you probably moved a couple of 100 kilometers outside Delhi, the story may be totally different and the seroprevalence may not even be 5%. And this has actually been seen in America also, where New York had 23% seroprevalence. The state right next to it had a seroprevalence of 3%. So again, when we speak about herd immunity, it is not a city, it's about an entire region or an entire country. So I feel herd immunity still is a long shot away, maybe for Delhiites. If they are only going to stay in Delhi and not go anywhere else, then maybe in the next 6-8 months or so, it may be possible that 60 or 70% of the population may be exposed and develop antibodies.
Also, doctor, now, during the outbreak of COVID-19, Mumbai emerged to be the hotspot, but later, Delhi also took center stage. But now, going by the sero prevalence results, do you think that the situation is getting better in the national capital?
It would certainly by numbers indicate, because one, yes, the seroprevalence is showing that there are more people who are antibody positive, and also in the best of my knowledge of the numbers, the number of cases are also declined. The number of per day positivities have declined. The fatality rate, I believe, is now below 1% for Delhi. So where the national average may be around 1.8% or little close to 2% in some areas. So I think Delhi does seem to be faring better, and it's certainly something that can be studied and looked at all the things that have been done right by that territory for others to learn from, and also just emphasizes the importance of maintaining our precautions that we speak about every time, and not letting our guard down with regards to wearing our masks, hand washing, hand sanitizing, maintaining physical distancing. All of those things are still so important for other areas also to stay protected.
Right, doctor. Thank you for joining me with all those insights. Well, that was Dr. Sitesh Roy giving us his opinions and also his views about the sero results that have arrived right now. 33% of the population in Delhi has now been exposed to COVID-19, and these 33% population that we are talking about have also developed antibodies which can help a person ward off COVID-19. And when we come to herd immunity, like the doctor said, herd immunity may take another 6 to 7 or even 8 months, because herd immunity requires 70% of a given population to be infected by COVID-19. And also, in order for that to happen, it will take a long time, just as the doctor mentioned. So until then, all we have to do is follow all the safety precautions, wear your mask at all times, and also follow a good hand hygiene, because that will help you prevent COVID-19 from entering your body. So with that, it's a wrap on this live interaction. Until next time, take care and stay safe. Thank you for watching this interaction.